All right. So maybe you just watched my lesson and you're like, I don't know how to do that DVD thing that he was talking about. Well, I'm going to just redo this for you one more time on a video. All right, so let's just start with this. First, we need to make our canvas a little bit bigger. So instead of 400 by 400, we'll make it 600 by 600. That's step one. So it's a little bit bigger now. Then we're going to change our background to black. So instead of 220, we'll have a 0 there. That's our starting point. Now next, we want to make a rectangle that will serve as our DVD logo. So our rectangle will start at let's start at 50, 100, 180. What we should see is a nice rectangle. I love it. Now, the next thing is we want to start it to change positions. We want it to move. The way we can make it change positions, or we can get this thing to start animating, is we need a variable, right? We want to change its position. When you hear the word change, you say variable. So we're going to say let x pause. And you're like, what's x pause? That's short for x position. I think it's just a nice name for it. So step one is to create your variable. Step two is to initialize your variable. Remember, there's always 3 steps. We're going to initialize it to 50, right? That's where it starts. And then our rect will go x position. So 3 steps, right? You create your variable, you initialize it, you substitute it. Declare, initialize, substitute. Declare, initialize, substitute. Those are your 3 steps. Now, if you wanted this to start moving, what you would do is you'd say x position, or x pause, is equal to x pause plus 1. And what you'll see is it starts going to the right. Looks good, looks good. But the problem is it doesn't bounce. Right? Oh, that sucks. So how can we get this guy to bounce? Well, what we need to do is change this 1 into a negative 1. Right? If that 1 was a negative 1, it would go the other direction. If it's positive 1, it goes to the right. If it's negative 1, it goes to the left. So really we need this 1 to change. Did you just hear that word? Change. When something needs to change, you need a variable because we're going to change that 1 into a negative 1. That's how we're getting it to bounce. So what we're going to call this is the speed. So we'll say let x speed. Right? This is the x speed. And the reason I call it speed is because if we did 3, it would go faster. If we did 100 or 10, you'd see it goes much faster. So really this is like controlling the speed of it. Woo. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to create the variable. We're going to initialize it. X speed equals, well, let's start at 1. And then instead of adding 1 to x position, we'll add x speed. And what that will do is it'll work just like it did before. So remember, this is really just saying take your x position, right, and add 1 to it because our x speed's 1. Really haven't changed much. We've done this before. Now is where we start getting this interesting. So we want this thing to bounce. The way we're going to make it bounce is using an if statement. So basically what we're saying is if our rectangle gets to this side of the screen, we want it to go the other way. We want the speed to go to the other direction. So we have to say, where is this? So when our x position gets to where, when do we want it to bounce? Well, when our x position is at, well, our canvas is 600, then we want it to bounce the other way. So we're going to say when our x position is greater than 600, when it goes past the 600 threshold, what we're going to do is we're going to take our x speed and we're going to change it to negative 1. So instead of it being positive 1 now, it'll be negative 1. So it'll be plus a negative, which is the same thing as subtraction. So I want you to watch this and you'll say to yourself, maybe this isn't working, but actually it is. Ready? And bounce. Now you'll notice here that this actually bounced right a little bit too late. So if we watch that again, in fact, this is going too slow. Let's change that to a 3. Let's increase the speed. You'll see that it goes, but it actually bounces when the left corner hits it. So what we want to do is actually change this number. We want this to be 500. Why? Because this thing has a width of 100. So when it gets to 500, it'll bounce. So keep your eye on it, right? It's going, it's going, it's going, it's going, it's going. And boom, now it bounces in the right place, right? When it's 100 away from the side. Now, if we want it to bounce on the other side, because you'll notice here that it's not bouncing again. See, no bounce. That sucks. What we're going to have to do is another if statement. So we're going to say if x position is, and when do we want it to bounce the other way? Well, when our x position gets to, well, this is 0. That's 0. If our x position is less than, not more than, but when it's less than 0, when it goes past 0, when it goes into the realm of negatives, we're going to once again change our x speed. So this x speed will now turn to 1. So if we watch this, it's going to slowly happen. Got to wait for it, wait for it, wait for it. Okay, it bounces. That's really good. I love what this is doing. It's wonderful. It's great. Here it goes. Here it goes. Now it's going to bounce off the other side, and boom. We're crushing the game. So if you've taken anything away from this video, you know how to make a rectangle bounce right to left. Now, the question is, how can I make it bounce up and down? Well, it's the same exact thing. All right? Basically, it's the same exact code. All you need to do is now make a Y position, right? So what I would do if I were you, I'd say let Y position, and just repeat the same exact steps for Y. You would initialize your Y position equal to 100. You substitute in here, and yada yada. You actually just repeat the same exact steps we just did, but you have to do it for Y, and that'll make it go up and down now. Same exact steps. I believe in you guys, okay? So with that said, God bless and good luck. I believe in all of you. Well, yeah, I believe in all of you. All right. Kiss your mothers. Bye.